What's up guys, BNF here, and today we are going to be doing the Gecko 4-inch build, and I'm going to kind of go over all the components we're going to be using first. So, first things first, we got the Helio Spring Mini flight controller. We're also using the Caddx Turtle. This is going to be, not only am I going to get my FPV feed on this, I can also record HD to 60 frames per second, like a GoPro, so I don't have to worry about using a GoPro with this thing. And then we're also going to be using the Emax 1606 3250 kV motors. And this is going to be running on 4S. And we're using the Ori 32-bit ESC 4in. And then we're also using an AKK 20x20 VTX with the MMCX connector on it. And then we also have a XM Plus receiver right here. And I'm not using Crossfire just because I don't think I'm going to be going crazy with it. And plus, I just wanted something different to the channel because I always use Crossfire receivers. So I'll go ahead and wire up a FlySky receiver for once. So first things first, I already kind of did a layout of it. It was kind of a pain in the butt just because I'm using a turtle camera, the stack. But I was able to finally figure it out. And as you see here, on the turtle, you have to leave one missing because it's not like a standard 20x20. And then I have the 32-bit ESC backwards going this way. And I made enough space to where it's not, I have another standoff thing too I'm going to put on there to where it's not going to even touch that at all. And yeah, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and mount the motors. And they do come with screws, the motors do. And we're going to be using Loctite with them. So always Loctite your motors so they don't come off mid-flight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount motor, probably skip ahead, and then then get to the next part just to save time on the video. So we got one motor screw in there. And you always tighten your motor screws. I think I've went over this before. You always do it kind of like a tire. You go cross and then back around, just so it gets even pressure on the bottom plate part of the motor. Oops. Thinking about building a micro is everything is so dang tiny. So the screws are tiny, the motors are tiny, the stack's tiny. Everything is just tiny. And I did make these 3D printed bumpers on the side just to protect the motors and the arms a little bit. But I'm really excited to see how this thing's going to fly. So I got this motor mounted. I'm going to go ahead and mount all the other motors and I'll be right back. Alright, back. Got all the motors mounted onto the frame. And I did trim up the wires a little bit. I did notice though, Emax, come on. I mean, seriously, I wanted to mount these wires like through the inside so they goes around. But apparently they didn't make the wires long enough. I'm not adding wire to it. It just makes a mess. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is we'll probably just go ahead and direct solder it right there. I did figure out a solution though. I'll probably do in the future, probably not on this video, using these micro race wires. I can then extend them and make them the way I want, but I only have two, and that's not going to help me right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just mount it that way, and then I can change it up in the future if I so desire. But first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is pre-solder all the pads onto this. And if you're asking me why haven't I done the power leads yet, I'm going to do that last because I have that. It's going to go through the top plate like that, and it's going to come through that way. So I'm going to do that probably last. One of the last things because I don't want the top plate to be in the way because it's going to be hanging to the side because once I solder this together, that top plate will pretty much become part of it. And I prefer my batteries to go that way. I just like it that way because it does not have to worry about this thing getting hit by props or nothing. I could go out the back, but space is really limited on this frame, especially since I'm going to be doing a double stack in the back and then a double stack here on the front for the VTX and the camera. So I'm going to go ahead and get my solder out. And we're going to pre-tin all these pads here. Clean off my soldering iron. And then we're just going to pre-tin them up. Like so. First time actually building a really tiny quad on the channel. I mostly just built 5-inch quads. I haven't built too many of these though. I think I built one other one before. Just trying to get the solder onto that pad. That's too much solder. Let me kind of get that off. And when you get too much solder, you can kind of just take it and just swipe it like that. And usually it kind of just sticks to itself and sticks to the soldering iron. Right, that side's done. Move on to this side. Try not to get the plastic standoff and melt it. I just have it there right now just to kind of hold it still somewhat. And the last one. Oops. Alrighty, that is all done. So what I'm going to do is pre-tin your wires on your motor wires since I cut these. There's no solder on them. I don't think the other ones have solder on them either. So go ahead and pre-tin those up. I'm going to do one wire. I'll do one motor and then we'll skip ahead. Don't want to make the video too long. I don't want to make 2 parts videos, but it may become one. Okay. Get my needle nose pliers out. Go ahead and solder the sucker up. Start with the end one first. You just gotta take here where you have the wire, kind of lay it on top of the other solder, and just guide it down without bridging any other ones, like I just did. See, now it's bridged. Stinkier. There you go. Might have a little too much solder on that joint, but I'll try it again because I just took some off. That's that one. Do it again. And then do that. So that's all 3 of them. Yeah, one of them's touching, but I'll fix that off air. But you pretty much get the idea. So let me go ahead and solder all the rest of this up, and then we'll start the next step. All right, I'm back and got all the motor wire soldered onto the ESC, like such. And I put some zip ties on here as well, just so it can hold the wires down and that makes it look aesthetically pleasing. So next thing we're going to go ahead and do is plug in the flight controller and all that stuff, and we're using the 4-in-1 header here. And the only thing I did do with this is actually is a direct connection between the Helio Mini, Micro Mini, and the ESC. So, or 32 ESC. So what we're going to do is plug it in, make sure they're lined up. And I don't like the fact that this is in the back, but that's how the build's going to have to go. And this is the front of the board. So we're going to kind of come around like that. And then pop that on top of there. Like so. Let me push this down more so I can go down more. Actually, I think the wire's in the way. I'll push that into the wire and then it ruins the wire. There we go. Now it's down. So we got that like that. And we're going to come around and plug her in that way. Up, up. Pins are down. Okay. Like so. And then we'll just tuck those wires down in there so you don't see them. Make it go down there so it looks straight. Like so. Alright, so that's mounted on top of there. And then we can go ahead and kick our screws on the flight controller. Where is the other screws? And screwing on your flight controller, since it has soft gummies, you don't want to put it too tight. You pretty much want to make it, when you're looking at it, you'll see like the gummy will start to squish down. And I do a little bit of squish, and then I kind of just leave it there. So they're not super tight, but they're not super loose either. Just enough to where the flight controller moves. What I usually do, once I get this other last one on, is I'll move the flight controller around and see if I can get some movement. Yeah, see I have a little bit of movement there. That means I know it's nice and snug, but it's also going to isolate vibrations. Yeah, just like that. You probably can't see it on the video, but it just moves very, very little when you kind of give it a wiggle. And that's what you want. So we have that all connected. The next thing we're going to go ahead and do is probably route the receiver on. Take that out of the package here. So this is the XM Plus receiver. It does come with some extra wiring. Some of the stuff you don't need. I will probably use this though, because it is nice wire. But I won't be using the plug. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, well, I will be using the plug because that plugs right in. Like so. Once I can get the plug in there. There we go. Popped right in there. So I'm going to go ahead and solder this thing up. And let me go ahead and get my soldering iron all set up, and then we'll go ahead and solder this sucker on. Be right back. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and wire up like I said, actually meant to say this is actually an RXSR, not an XM Plus receiver. I don't know why I got that mixed up. But we're going to go ahead and wire this thing up. And the first things we're going to go ahead and do is just do the power and ground just to get that out of the way. And we have our ground is going to be the black wire, and then our red is going to be the red wire, of course. So what I'm going to do is grab the black wire first, and we're going to be using these pins on the side that I already pre-tinned. So I'm going to get down here, and I don't know if you're going to see my head or not. Hopefully not. And we're just going to, I already trimmed the wires back too, so they're a little shorter, because they're way too long. And we're going to solder them like that. Once I can get that little guy. These wires are so stinking tiny. Let me fix my hand. Sorry, I'm probably covering it up. But I cannot, I can barely get to those little pads. Come on. That's connected. And then the last pad up top, right here, the first one on the right, is actually your positive 5 volts. Let me get more solder on that sucker, because that's not wanting to melt. Try to bend the wire back. I still didn't really get it. Oh, I just bumped the camera. This one is hard. It's not like building a 5-inch. Everything's just big. And that's still tiny. For some reason I can't get any. There we go. That's good enough. Alright. And then we have the S-bus, which is going to be the yellow wire. And the yellow wire, let me check my reference real quick here. Yeah, it's right below the 5-volt pad. So, go ahead and the yellow wire to that one. Come on. You can solder on there. Really? There we go. And then the last one is your S port for telemetry. And that's going to be the green wire. I had it and then I moved. There we go. So that's how you wire up the RXSR receiver. And then my thoughts were I was just going to kind of wrap it around here and wrap it with some tape. Actually, let me go ahead and wrap it with some tape now, see if I have some laying around. I do have some Captain tape. I should. There we go. And this is Captain tape. You've probably seen this on a Joshua Bardwell video. You can wrap your receivers around in them, and you can still see through it. So it makes it's great for receivers. Let me cut off a piece here. There we go. Get that yucky roll off. And then pretty much with the receiver, you just kind of just take it, and it doesn't really matter how you're going to wrap it, but kind of wrap it like that. And as you see, it's protecting it, but you still can see through it, so you can hit the bind button. You'll still have the light coming through, so it just makes it a little bit easier. So wrap that a couple times. It's twisting up on me a little bit. Let's get it off. Let me cut it a little bit. And there we go. So it's worth picking up. They have it like usually at the electrical supply stores. I got this, I think, at Radio Shack. And it's just pretty much tape, but you can see through it, as you see. And I can see the bind button down there. I can touch it, press it down if I want to. But yeah, so that's pretty much cap and tape. So we'll leave that dangling like that for now, because that's all hooked up and wired up. Now I think this is going to cut it for this video. We're going to go ahead and make it 2 parts, like I said probably before. We'll wire up the rest of it, and yeah, so I'll see you guys in another video. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe, give it a like, and like I said, I appreciate you guys watching. See you guys later. Peace.